we're gonna get to the SWAC tournament right quick. So basically, we're gonna, it takes place next week in Birmingham, Alabama, to quote the great Keith Jackson. We're gonna start with the women. I'm sorry, I'm in the MEAC. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, cool. All right, we're gonna start with the with the women. So basically, give a quick shout out to Tamika Reed for a dominant season for Jackson State women. Finished 15-1 in conference play, 18-8 overall. Finished on the 12-game winning streak, if you can believe that. Followed by Alabama State and Alabama A&M at 12-4, 11-5 respectively. All three at or barely over 500. So on paper, to me, this should be Jackson State's conference title to lose. But you know what they say, upsets happen. We're getting to March Madness right now. So is there anyone who could knock off Jackson State women in the conference tournament?
Well, their lone loss was to Prairie View this season.
Right.
And Grambling gave them a close game during the year as well. Everyone else, they literally blew out.
Yeah.
So I think it might be a situation in the semis, if the standings stay the same as of tonight. Jackson is of course the league leader with a 3-game lead on Alabama State with 2 games remaining in the season.
Yeah, it's not over yet. I didn't forget that's not over yet.
Yeah, so teams like Alabama State, who has a 1-game lead over Alabama A&M and a 1.5-game lead over Prairie View, there still could be some jockeying of position between those spots 2 through 4 before the season is over with. So that's something we most definitely got to keep an eye out on. And if that happens, it could be a situation where, like I said before, it could be a 1-4 in the semis between Jackson State and Prairie View, or maybe it could be a situation where Prairie View, if they play well enough, can meet Jackson State in the finals one more time. So the Prairie View is most definitely the team to watch in that situation. But we got to see exactly how well the 2 Alabama schools play throughout the tournament too, to see if they'll be able to surprise them.
Yeah. So I misspoke there. Just a point of order that Jack State has not ended on the 12-game winning streak because they have 2 more games left to play. But they're currently on a 12-game winning streak, which is equally impressive as well. Yeah. All right. So
and don't forget about Alabama State. That's currently riding in the 6-game win streak themselves.
Yes, that's correct. And they're hot. They're hot as fish grease as well. Would it be something though if we got another Jackson State LSU matchup in the early rounds of the NCAA tournament, given that the game that they played last year, and the fact that Kim Mulkey, head coach of LSU, gave Jackson State a backhanded compliment? That'd be great.
I mean,
it up again.
Reed didn't see it that way. A little bit at least. From what I remember, she didn't outwardly say anything about it. Sure. But it did kind of seem that way. But because what did she say? If memory serves me, she said something to the effect of she should be elsewhere because she's that good of a coach.
Yeah, I think so. But some people took that as a shot at the conference, not at her per se, not Tamika Reed per se, because that was Kim Mulkey's way of acknowledging that Reed is a damn good coach. I think it was a more some people took that as a shot at the school instead of at the coach herself. I think.
God, as much as I hate to come up, their out of conference record, kind of like the football out of conference record, is much to be desired.
That's true.
It's a lot to be said about their OOC and their strength of schedule outside of the conference in terms of their wins. and I guess that's what she's most definitely taking a look at too.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
you
because
know,
I'm looking at
it's
I'm
go
looking
ahead.
at it too. I'm sorry, bro. I'm just looking at it too because like they got blown out by North Carolina. Uh, they got the same with Colorado. They
Yeah.
beat Texas Tech. They beat Texas Tech.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Louisiana. I think that was a preseason tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they lost at UCLA. It was respectable. They lost at Oregon State. The margin was respectable. They lost at Missouri. They got hammered by Texas at home. So they hosted Texas Longhorns at home, which was pretty cool. Not many people big like Power Fives go to HBCUs to play. And they got beat handily by Washington State. So your point's well taken, brother.
See.
Ouch.
Oh, but before we move on, it just came across my Twitter feed. Uh, Morehouse was able to hold on against Lane to beat them 68
Okay.
64. So they do advance. They do advance to the semifinal round.
Okay, cool. So the house is still in it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law will be happy about that. He's a Morehouse grad. Anywho, all right, cool. So basically the verdict on the women's side is Jackson, pretty much Jackson State's tournament to lose. With Alabama State being a dark horse, potential to make some noise.
Well, I believe though, like I said before, those two schools from Alabama and Prairie
Yes.
View could be the teams that could potentially surprise Jackson State, based upon what they've done during the season. Not only within the conference, but what Prairie View being the only team to knock off Jackson State during the regular season.
Yeah. Well, hold
But
on.
yeah, Jackson State has been a juggernaut all year long.
Yeah, and they've been quite dominant,
Yeah.
quite dominant, and good for Tamika Reed again. So Tamika Reed, I should say again. Um, she might not be around much longer because she's that good of a coach. Yeah. So moving to the men's side.
What did Dion used to say? Pay the man.
Yep, pay the
Pay the
woman.
man. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So the men's side, it's a little more competitive. Actually, a lot more competitive. It's got
Mm-hmm.
Grambling and Alcorn tied at 13-3 in conference play. Obviously, they both had two more games left in the season, followed by
Mm-hmm.
Southern and Jack State at 10-6 in the conference. But Grambling and Alcorn are looks y'all the only two teams to be to be above 500 overall record. With Grambling winning games, which is pretty damn good, I think. So this is going to be more of a toss-up compared to the women's side. Do you see a possible scenario where neither Grambling nor Alcorn wins the conference title, which wins the conference tournament title inside?
Possibly Southern,
Okay.
because they look good earlier on during conference play. So if they can somehow revert back to that, all it takes is whoever's hot during the tournament, not even entering the tournament, whoever's hottest in the tournament
Right.
usually wins that tournament. And we've seen success out of Southern earlier in the season, so I wouldn't be surprised if they won it. Same thing could be said about Jackson State as well. But you're right, the way that Alcorn and Grambling have looked throughout the year, primarily Grambling,
Mm-hmm.
on paper, it's their tournaments to have.
Right. Right. Because they again they finished well. I mean, not finished, but they got two more games left to play. But
Mm-hmm.
they had a pretty damn good season. 20-8, man.
Yeah.
That's nothing to sniff at. I mean, look at the out of conference now. They won at Vanderbilt,
Mm-hmm.
which it's Vanderbilt, but still it's an SEC win on the road.
Mm-hmm.
They beat UTSA. Um,
Mm-hmm.
they beat Colorado at
And be
Grambling.
Colorado at Grambling, yeah.
So they got it. I mean, they fared pretty well. I mean, sure they lost some big ones, but they only lost 3 out of conference, and they dropped the game that they probably should have won it versus Incarnate Word, sir. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like one of those typical playing games as a 16 seed. I think if they win, if Grambling wins the conference tournament, I think they can go higher even a 15 or 14 seed, I think, maybe a 14 seed at the lowest, given their record and out of conference.
Scott, don't hold your breath. If anything,
Yeah.
truthfully, I see them being a 15 seed, and that's the ceiling.
Okay.
You know,
That's fair.
For them, I would hope, and this is fingers crossed, that
Yep.
they avoid the playing game.
Yeah.
That's a hope.
Right.
The guy, even with that, doesn't, because the guys, the teams that make the playing game don't necessarily play the number one overall seed, right?
Right. Well, wait a minute. The ones I've seen who the playing tournaments are the 16 and 11 seeds. Correct.
Uh-huh.
So if you're 11 seed, those tend to be your last out at large bids, like the
Yeah.
last ones in, like Joe Lunardi likes to say on ESPN. Those tend to be those cats. The conference winners, if they're in the playing tournament, they're the 16 seeds, and their fate is they're pretty much certain, about to be the sacrificial lamb of wherever the top seed is.
Okay. So yeah, if they can somehow avoid the playing game, even though the MEAC and the SWAC in most years recently, since the intro of the playing game, have had a hard time avoiding that matchup. Hopefully a 20-8 or 22-8, if they are able to run the table for the final two games of the regular season. A 22-8 season and running rim shot throughout the tournament should be a way for them not to play in the play-in game, and at best get a 15 seed.
Gotcha.
Because it would be a little bit weird in my eyes. I don't care how weak you think the conference is, for a team that is 22-8 to be a 16 seed. It just would be to me.
Yeah, you're right. We've seen crazy things, right? But I'm not holding my breath, just like you. I'm not holding my breath because we now know how they treat some of these conferences. So particularly the HBCUs. So it is what it is.